Vampiric, are you there?
Is that you, Sand Giant?
Yes, I need your help.
Why? What's wrong?
Demon Lord Azraelic is trying to take over and change Dungeon Quest. I need your help to stop him.
How can I help?
I will show you how to use VCafe's backdoor. With my help, I think we may be able to stop him.
Why don't you just use the back door yourself? Why do you need me to do it?
The backdoor only works for actual players. VCafe was trying to make the bosses smarter using AI. However, he was afraid they'd become too smart and try to take over the game. So, he added a backdoor to prevent himself from ever getting locked out.
Okay, so let's say I do help you. Will I be able to get my main account back?
Once you use the backdoor, you'll have full admin rights until you disconnect. You can change anything in the system.
Alright, so how do I use the back door?
You have to do two things to enable the backdoor. First, you have to solo Volcanic Chambers Nightmare in hardcore mode.
That's pretty hard. I've never done that by myself without dying.
I have faith in you.
Okay, so let's say that I do somehow do it. What do I do after that?
When you beat it, come to Desert Temple immediately. I'll explain what to do next.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of Dungeon Quest Noob to Godly. In today's episode, we're going to try to figure out the best way to beat Volcanic Chambers Nightmare. I'm on a level 162 account, but I went ahead and reset all of the skill points. So I'm only using 154 skill points right now. And I went ahead and put 31 skill points into stamina. That was enough to give me at least 28 million HP. And it looks like that's about what you need to be able to survive one normal hit from any of the bosses. It won't survive all the hits because some of the bosses do special attacks that take twice as much damage, but you can survive a lot of the hits. Right now I'm wearing my gear that we used last time to be able to beat Insane. It's not that great a gear, so I don't think you'll be able to use that to be able to beat Nightmare. To beat Nightmare, I think you'd probably have to have like purple or blue versions of this and like a really good weapon. I went ahead and tried this, but I couldn't even really get past the first boss very easily. If you take a long time to beat the first boss, he spawns a bunch of these red orbs that shoot lines at you. And eventually you have so many orbs shooting at you that it becomes extremely hard to dodge. So it was taking too long on the first boss, so I just gave up. At the end of last episode, I said that I thought that mages had a slight advantage in Nightmare, so I think I'm going to switch to mage for this one. But I have played Nightmare as a warrior, and you can play as a warrior fine also. The strategy for both warrior and mage is basically the same for Nightmare. So I'm going to switch to this ancient lava axe. It's a little bit stronger than our old insane weapon, but I'm not going to upgrade it at all in the beginning. So this will simulate what it would be like to have a decent mage weapon from Insane. And I think I'm going to use a set of Molten Forge mage armor and helmet for this episode. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this armor and I'm going to upgrade it slowly. So I'll start out upgrading it just to be the same as like green armor, and then if that doesn't work, I'll upgrade it to blue and then to purple and so on. There are two types of armor in Nightmare. The best type of armor is Lava King's mage armor, and then the second best is Molten Forged. So I'm going to start out just using the Molten Forged. I have a feeling we probably won't need the Lava King's armor to be able to solo it. Okay, I went ahead and upgraded everything. So now we're basically using a full green set of this Molten Forged armor. The helmet's at 656k and the armor's at 652k. Okay, and since we're switching to mage now, I went ahead and reset the skill points. And I made it so that we have the correct stamina points, assuming we had green, a full set of green armor. And then I put the rest of the skill points into spell power. So the only difference between actually having the green armor is we have a little bit extra health up here, but we should be the same strength. Oh, and I'm also using the mage spells from Volcanic Chambers. I'm now using Inner Focus, which gives you a speed boost and it makes your damage 80% higher. And the other spell is from Nightmare. It's called Amethyst Blast. And it's basically a ranged spell. It works similar to the Warrior spell we were using in Insane. Alright, I know from doing Insane that you have to be able to beat the packs of enemies in at most 4 rounds of spells. If it takes you more than 4 rounds, I don't think it's possible to beat it. Last time when we were able to beat it, it took us 3 rounds of spells. So I'm going to go ahead and test that on this pack. On the first pack, I'm just going to see how long it takes to beat them. And if it's not under 4 rounds, then I'm just going to go back and upgrade some more stuff. Okay, we actually were able to beat him with 4 of the spells, so I think it is possible with this. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and leave and then restart the dungeon so I don't run out of time. Alright, what I like to do in the beginning is stay over here on the right side. When I get to about this point, I'll use the speed spell and then hit him with the other spell. And then at this point here, I'll wait a second for my cooldowns and then come up and beat this pack, or hit that pack. And then I'll pretty much keep going through all the way back to this pack. I'll hit them and then turn around and start going back. And I'm doing this to try to group all the packs together. It makes it a little bit quicker to beat them all if you can do it right. And this part here I kind of messed up a little bit. Normally I would have turned right back around immediately. But they started throwing down circles, so it kind of messed me up. Okay, now we're at the first boss. Okay, once he throws out that ball, I'll use the speed spell and then come up and start attacking him. And then pretty much I'll try to stay back behind him. You just got to get the timing right. So that way you're not getting hit by lines. Those red orbs, they shoot out lines at you, and the longer it takes you to beat the boss, the more orbs come out. So if you take a really long time, you're going to have to be dodging a lot of lines. But when I stay back here, I found it makes it a little bit easier. I'll kind of wait to turn around until I see a couple of lines that just shot out and tried to hit me. Because if you turn around at the wrong time, you'll get hit by a line right as you're coming back. But this boss is not too hard if you're overpowered, but when you're fairly weak and it takes a long time to beat, it is very easy to get hit by the lines. So you're just going to have to practice with it to get the timing right. The boss itself also shoots out a line, so try to never run straight at the boss. Like normally I'll kind of move to the side a little bit so that I'm able to dodge the line he shoots out too. But yeah, I'd say practice with this boss. Just keep practicing with it until you can die just maybe once, possibly twice at worst. If you're dying more than twice, you're probably going to need to practice some more. Okay, we actually didn't even get hit that time on the boss. Okay, for these enemies too, so for these enemies I'll pretty much do the same thing that I did with the first pack. Basically just try to go back and forth hitting them. Okay, here I do the same exact thing. Hit this pack, run past, and then come up and hit them, and as soon as I hit them, then I turn. So as soon as you get used to fighting all these packs of enemies, it's not too bad. I just practiced at the very beginning, that the first line of enemies before the first boss. I just practiced that a whole bunch until I got good at it. But yeah, if you don't have a good strategy for these enemies, you're probably going to run out of time because you have to fight this type of enemy throughout the whole dungeon. Okay, now we're at the second boss, and I actually think this is the hardest boss of this dungeon. Starting out, I'll use the speed spell, run up and hit him immediately. Okay, now I'll go over here to this rock area. That lets you get a rock, which you can use to plug those yellow holes. If you don't plug the holes, the boss will start throwing out more of them, and the more holes there are, the harder the boss is to dodge. Like he'll throw out faster and faster spells, like faster lines, a whole bunch more lines, so you pretty much have to fill up the holes. Just make sure that you also hit the boss in between filling up the holes. If you only concentrate on filling up the holes, you'll basically never beat him. And that's one of the problems I had in Insane last time. I was too focused on filling up the holes and not beating the boss. And so it made it just take much longer than it should have. So like now, even though I've got a rock, I went ahead and hit the boss and then came up and patched the hole. And if you get hit by that big boulder, that big circle you see, it will kill you in one hit. It basically does a whole bunch of damage. That can even take out healers that have a ton of health. So you've got to make sure you dodge that. And that one line, I don't know if you just saw it, but like a random line just came and hit me while I was in between the checkerboard pattern. That's one of the hardest things to dodge. So basically if you're standing in one place, that's when you're gonna hit. So you can try to start moving on. It's hard. You'll just kind of have to get used to it. That makes the boss farther back you are, normally the easier to dodge. And see how it moves sideways again? Okay, those flashes, the first flash is just a warning. It shows you where the next one's going to come that actually does do damage. And if you get hit by the flash, the second one after the flash, it also does twice the damage, so you'll die with one hit with the current HP that we have. Okay, that's the first flash, then that's the real one that damages. Okay, we ran out of time. Looks like we got him down to about like 33% left, something like that. Alright, I actually do think that's possible. So we were just wearing full green molten forged armor and a little bit better than a good mage weapon from Insane. But you pretty much cannot die much at all. I think if I would have died maybe 1 or 2 times less, I think I would have been able to beat it. Okay, so right now we're at 4.86 million. I think I'm going to switch to these dual Hellfire blades at 5.56 million. That's about 15% better. And I'm not going to upgrade them at all. We actually beat him pretty fast that time. Looks like it's still probably taken about 4 times with the spells to be able to beat him. Yeah, so we're decently close to being able to beat them with 3. I know for sure once we get to 3, it won't be too hard to beat. Okay, we got 3 minutes left. That's probably enough if I don't mess up too much. I know if I didn't die just then, we would have definitely had it. We probably still will. Okay, we got it. 19 seconds left. Yeah, so I think we're about at the limit of how strong you need to be able to beat it. I mean, I could have done better by not dying some, but it's really hard to do when you're weak. Yeah, so I'd say you need at least green armor and then a decent weapon that's not upgraded. I think the dual Hellfire Blades are the best mage weapon other than a legendary. But this is the green version. If you had a fully upgraded weapon from Nightmare, you'd probably be able to beat it. You could probably also use an insane weapon if you had better than green armor. Probably if you had blue or purple armor, you wouldn't even need to get a weapon at all. But the weapons from Nightmare seem pretty good. Like they start out at like right around what the weapons from Insane do even when they're not upgraded. Alright, let's go ahead and see how strong we are right now. Okay, I just did it 3 times. It looks like we're doing at least 4.1 trillion. So probably you need somewhere around 4 trillion to be able to beat it. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the spells for Mage from Nightmare. These are the 2 Mage spells. The first one's Lava Cage. It's very similar to Phantom Flames from Pirate Island. Just a stronger version of it. The range, it looks like it does a bunch of ticks. The range on the Lava Cage is not very good, so you got to be decently close up. With the other one here, Amethyst Blast, this is the mage spell that most mages use. I don't see people use Lava Cage hardly ever. The range on the blast is pretty far. Looks like you can hit all the dummies from here. And let's compare that to the warrior spell. Here's what the warrior ranged spell looks like. It's called Lava Barrage. Yeah, it can also hit from right here. Let me see if it even has bigger range. Okay, so it looks like the warrior one you have to be about this far away, and then the mage one maybe around here. So the warrior one does have longer range, so I do like that. The bad thing is it's multiple ticks. Yeah, when you use the warrior one, it does 3 ticks of damage, so you basically have to keep it pointed on the enemies for that entire time. The mage one is just 1 tick, so it's 1 big burst of damage. So that's why I kind of like the mage one better, but I use the warrior one all the time and it works fine. So I think they're both good. Here's the other warrior spell. It's called Blade Fall. It's stronger than the other warrior spell, but the range is not as good. Okay, so it looks like you have to be about here to hit all 3 of the dummies with the Blade Fall. But for the other spell, you can be a little bit further back. Alright, I think that's pretty much it, guys. I'll see you in the next video.